Good morning, all. Thanks for your responses yesterday, an earlier one than previously. Patrick, you mentioned a couple of things that were interesting to discuss, partly because of your perception of abstraction as not a painter. So um, I'm not sure why there's a sort of per se of contradiction in what you're saying as being a recording of the event and formality. Um, and then your perception of it as an object. I don't see why that is sort of mutually exclusive. Um, and yeah, the idea of painting as object, um, that sort of is over 100 years old now. I mean, it's sort of with Malevich. I mean, interestingly, actually appropriately, because Malevich, with his paintings, and Rodchenko subsequently, um, Malevich was a Ukrainian artist who termed the phrase suprematism. And, that was the sort of black squares and the simple thing, sort of stating that there was truth in the thing itself. So, a black is black and the green is green, and there's no sort of escape from interpretation from it. Which is interesting because Simon brought up the matter of kitsch, related to Greenberg, and one of his definitions of kitsch was that, the viewer doesn't need to do any work. It's all there. You understand the whole thing. And it's one of the problems with humor in art. Once the joke is there, it's all explained. There's no further interpretation. And it's also a fine line that a lot of hyperrealists have to tread too, is that sort of sense of it being all, there's no sort of work involved or change of perception. It's all evident. And that's, problematic. I mean, the thing about the Malevich one is that was the revolutionary change of perception that was being proposed. And Andrew, you then, what did you mention? Oh yeah, again, I think this is this to me is a huge myth, that formalism removes the artist, because for me the choice of the form that you choose, whether it's color and shape and scale and all the rest of it, is an expression. And I think there's a deception with a lot of formalists that they're not actually expressing what they're like. But if you then perceive the thing very matter of factly, you will get an expression, an idea of that the artist. And I think that is a misconception. If it's not, then AI, you might as well have AI do it. And I think that is one of the difficulties we're now facing, is that there is that sense, and AI can easily go through all of the variations of shape and form very far better and far quicker. The only thing they can't do is present. Well, no, they can even do that now with 3D printed and. So yeah, I mean, I really believe that it's a misapprehension that particularly geometric and hard edge pictures do not express something about the person that chose to focus on that as a means of communication. And the other thing I was concerned about, because this also relates to the truth of the object, is that you mention, Andrew, about artists and people being able to discover their individual truths. And I'd be interested to know what you mean by that, because a truth is a truth, unless you I don't know what you really mean by that. But the question is, obviously there's a philosophical question, is whether the truth is truth, and this whole debate about science, whether that is truth, or on all this construct business. But in the individual truths, I think, again, one of the truths that you're confronted with as an artist is yourself, and trying to contend with oneself. The truth of that is difficult too. So that may be the truth you're referring to. I don't know, but if you can explain further what you mean by individual truths. Anyway, I'll see you later. Cheers.